Welcome to this week's live show in Journey to Lasting Love. I hope everyone is doing well. So let's jump right into this week's topic, which is what is happening with men? What is happening with men? It can be so confusing. We go out there and we look and we see what is going on. They are not behaving the same way that they did before. So I was at a engagement party this past weekend, and everybody, for the most part, there was younger and single, and it was a really good time. But it was a great opportunity for me to take a step back and just watch and see what's going on. So I want to tell you first the story of the couple that got engaged, most adorable couple. And the story of how they met is 2 years before they actually met, they were at some kind of event together. I don't remember the details of the event. And the woman saw him, went over to him, which she says is unprecedented for her. And she said, "I think you're really handsome." He said, "Thank you," and walked away. And for 2 years, they didn't hear from each other, and they met another way, and they remembered each other, and now they are engaged. So at first sight, that looks like a scenario where he was not interested, he was arrogant, he was a jerk, and he walked away. And I told him that he's going to have to spend the rest of his life making up for that. But so far, it seems that he's doing a very good job. But it's interesting. So why did he just walk away? This beautiful girl that he's clearly interested in comes up to him, gives him a compliment, and instead of going with it, he ran. So what's going on with men? The same thing that's going on with women. Men are afraid. Women are afraid. And this is our issue. This fear is what is making it so difficult for men and women to meet each other, for couples to be made. It's fear. The only thing that's standing in the way is fear. And what is it that we are afraid of? What is it that, why did he walk away? A beautiful woman comes up to you, tells you she's interested, and instead of engaging in the conversation, he ran as fast as he possibly could. Why did he do that? Because he was afraid, and he didn't know how to react. So what can we do to alleviate this? When we understand what is going on, how can we alleviate this issue? That same night of the engagement party, I was watching a guy, and he was very clearly interested in a girl that was at the party, because he was legitimately leering at her, and I was watching from the distance, and they spoke to each other, but then it seemed like he almost panicked, and he walked away from her and continued to stare from the corner. Why? If you are interested, make a move. Make a move. The message here to the men is to make a move. Do it. And my message to women here, traditionally, I don't know if you remember all those things, that why can't a group of women be out together and just be left alone? Well, it seems that women, we have gotten our wish. With the women's movement and all of these things, it used to be that men were predators, that if I went to a singles event 20 years ago or 15 years ago, it was very different than it is now, that the men were more eager to approach the women. But it seems that now they have taken a step back, and they are not approaching the way that they were. Why? Because as women, we have really beaten them down, or the message from society is to leave women alone. Leave us alone. We don't want you to talk to us. It's not true. That message is not true. Men, I want you to stop taking in that message. If you see a woman that you're interested in, talk to her, talk to her. The worst case scenario is that she won't like you. But more probably than she doesn't like you is that she is also afraid, that she is turning you away out of her own fear of rejection. Because you approach her, she allows you to come in, then she is giving you the opportunity to reject her and to, in effect, hurt her pride. So women, I ask you to show some kindness. Be open. If somebody does approach you, allow them to enter the conversation. Have a conversation. Even if on the surface you don't feel that you're interested, you don't know what lies beneath the surface. So be open to someone approaching you. Even if you don't feel that you're interested, how are you going to know that you're interested in a complete stranger? Brad Pitt is not walking around to ask you out. You know, Brad Pitt is a no-brainer kind of thing that like, wow, I'm interested. But we need more than a Brad Pitt. We need to learn about the person's internal world. We need to learn who they are. And in order to do that, we need to be open to them. So if somebody does approach you, don't be so closed off. Don't be so eager to beat them away. And this is the message that society has given men over the last 10, 15 years, to leave women alone. And you will notice even the most beautiful women complain that, nobody approaches me. So why are they not approaching? Because of their fear, out of fear of rejection. The same way that the woman is afraid of rejection, the man is afraid, has that fear of rejection. But men, I have some great news for you. You are and can be in the driver's seat if you choose to take that role. And women, you are also in the driver's seat because you can allow them to come up to you. And there is a lot of things that we can do in order to let the man know that we are approachable. Be approachable. Don't be hiding in the corner with your friends behind your shield. Be approachable. Smile. Make small talk. Allow them to know that you are interested, while at the same time allowing him to approach you. It's kind of like a dance. And why is it important for the man to make the approach? And this may be an unpopular thing, but I promise you that it works. Why does it work? Because of instinct. This is a basic human instinct. And as much as the popular world right now wants us to believe that men and women are the same, we are all androgynous, this is simply not true. It is simply not true. Men and women are different. Men and women are wired differently. And that is exactly the reason why we go together so well. Because we are different, we go together instead of like this. So we are not the same. Men have an instinctive urge to be hunters, right? We are hunter-gatherer society. The woman stays home and the man brings her what he has hunted. So this is an instinct for them. So for the men, I encourage you to follow this instinct. If you can't go hiding you can't go hunting at the farm. It's just not any fun. A little bit of a challenge is good. And here is where we come into the next kind of thing for women to react to men. Men want to know that they are special to you, that you are not available to everyone, that there is something special between the two of you, that he is going to give to you and you are going to be a receiver. So we need to have an openness in order to allow him to come in. And in order to make that allowance, to have that openness, I'm not talking physically here. I'm talking about emotionally, to emotionally be available, to not let that fear of rejection stand in your way. And really, for the most part, rejection is not what you think. It's so not personal. Look, the story of the couple who's now getting married is the perfect scenario. She could have felt that he rejected her when he scurried away, but the truth is he was afraid. And years later, when they met again, she could have said, well, you know what? I know this guy and he just doesn't like me. And she could have run away from him. And where would they be? They wouldn't be together. So she had the openness to allow him to come in, even though there was a rejection. But the rejection, or what was perceived as a rejection, had nothing to do with her and everything to do with him and his internal world. So it's a very interesting way to look at the world and to look at relationships. And if you are a man and you are interested, go for it. Go for it. Take your shot. Ask her out. The worst that will happen is she says no. So what? But you tried. You gave it your best shot. And then each time you do it, hopefully it makes it easier to try again. Imagine, let's go back to the hunter scenario. And I am not a hunter. It really freaks me out. But just for illustration purposes, if you take one shot and you don't make the shot, are you going to say, I'm just no good at this and go home? No, you take another shot, you try again. If you don't succeed, you try again. But the more you try, you're fine-tuning your craft. You are getting better at flirting and asking and learning how to do these things. This is all an art. It's not something that we are born with. These are all learned things. These are all learned things. Imagine if I threw a calculus book at a third grader and I was like, well, go figure it out. It'd be quite impossible. You need to go through the steps. You need to experience the rejections. Like, I said this and she shot me down. Let me try something else and try something else and try something else. And not only are you fine-tuning your interpersonal skills, your human skills of talking to other people, you are learning what it is that is right for you, what kind of a woman you are looking for, and what kind of a man you are looking for as a woman. And these are the things that allow us to move forward. One shot is not going to do it for you. You have the opportunity for many shots. And this is something we've talked about before. Give yourself the opportunity to be out there. I look at people with the apps, and it feels like it's so exciting because it's a catalog. It's a literal catalog of human beings. And it feels like the choices are infinite, which becomes part of the problem, but it can also be part of the solution. When you are in person and you see a real human being, it is much easier to make that connection. But I think the reason why people enjoy the catalog is it's not real. It's not real. It's not a personal interaction. And if someone doesn't respond to you, it feels like less of a personal rejection. But it's really important to frame the rejection, or what we perceive as rejection, for what it really is. It's something that is going on with the other person. It's not really about you. So take it for what it is. And if someone doesn't like you, be okay with that. So what? Not everybody is going to like you. Not everybody is going to like me. Not everybody is going to like anyone. And once we come to accept that, once we understand that it's really not a personal rejection, that gives us the opportunity to be more open and to allow people to approach us and to approach other people. You know, as a woman, we have the ability to approach as well, but I would recommend to do it in a little bit of a softer way to give the man the impression that you are interested instead of being aggressive about it, and give him the opportunity to be the hunter at least a little bit. At least a little bit. Don't jump on the hunter, is what I'm saying, but be available. Don't hide behind the tree. So these are all ways that I try to illustrate to you to put your fear aside. Put your fear of rejection aside and allow people in. Allow yourself the opportunity to approach other people. And when approached, give them a chance. Listen to what they have to say and don't be so afraid, because it is only that fear that is holding us all back. And if we can walk away from those fears, we can so easily create loving relationships. Even in long-term relationships, when we respond out of that fear of rejection is when we find trouble. We cause trouble in our own relationships out of our fear of rejection. The other interesting thing when you say what's going on with men, and this is a universal thing that spans all of time, the oddballs, and I guess the same is true of women, the oddballs draw the most attention to themselves. It's so much easier to notice a guy who acts inappropriately or says the wrong thing than to see the hidden gems. Among all those oddballs, among all those jerky guys, are hidden gems, are hidden amazing, sweet, kind, loving men that don't necessarily get the attention, because our focus is always on what is the most noisy. And when we expect that, when we expect all men are jerks. I met this guy, he was such a jerk. And we keep telling the story about the jerk that we met. Two things happen. The universe thinks that we like jerks and keeps sending us more. And the other thing that happens is that we notice the jerk a lot more. Hiding right behind him is a super wonderful guy. And I was having this conversation with someone just this past week, and she's like, show me someone wonderful. I said, well, he is out there, but you have to give yourself the opportunity to be out there and meet him. My husband Stephen and I, we kind of grew up in a similar community, but we never met each other. Our paths never crossed. And there I was saying, where are all the good guys? And he was one of those hidden gems. But I didn't meet him until the time was right, until I went through the phases with myself and I developed myself and my understanding of what it is that I was looking for, and I was open and available. And that is exactly the moment that he came into my life, when I was ready. A year before, he was still living 20 minutes away from me and going to similar events, but our paths never crossed because we were both not ready. Or I know I wasn't ready. I would have to ask him for the details, but I know I can identify the moment that I became ready, that I let go of all of my own garbage, and exactly a month, I want to say, or two after that point is when he entered my life. So it's very interesting to analyze things from a distance, to analyze a singles event from a distance and to see what is going on. And I invite you to do this. Go out there and be an observer and see what's happening, and look for those hidden gems, because I promise you that they are out there. And approach people, approach women, approach men. Be approachable and watch the magic unfold. I hope that this was helpful. Let me know what you think.